Do you also play Hunter in Destiny 2, despite everyone telling you that it's the worst class in PvE? Do you lie awake at night wishing you had a build to make Hunter as good or better than Warlock while retaining its obviously superior movement? Don't at me. Hunter has the best movement. Shut up! Well, keep dreaming. Hunter probably won't be better than Warlock in PvE, not without some major balance changes. But I can give you an absolutely cracked Invis Abuse Hunter build that will make you basically unkillable in PvE and make your friends want you on the raid team despite your poor choice to play Hunter. The best part is that most of these mods are easily acquirable, so whether you've been playing since Destiny 1 or just started last week, this build is still for you. It doesn't even rely on taking charge, so it will still be useful and probably even meta on PvE and Viz Hunters when Witch Queen drops. Let's get into it, shall we? I love build crafting. I've experimented with this build a lot and have come up with a few different iterations. Stick around to the end of the video when I show off the one that I think is the most powerful of all, a build so strong it can carry you through any master activity. I'm not messing with you either, like I've tried this thing myself and I'm probably going to be running something like this for day 1 of the Witch Queen raid. The cornerstones of this build are 2 elemental well mods, Reaping Wellmaker and Well of Utility. Elemental well mods are much stronger right now than most people give them credit for, and with orb generation getting nerfed in Witch Queen, they're only going to get stronger by comparison. You can get these mods at the seasonal vendor, the Wayfinder's Compass. It's in the Helm with rotating selections daily, so it won't take you long to get them if you don't already have them. Also, they only cost 3 mod components, which is much cheaper than the 10 that Ada charges for her mods. Reaping Wellmaker causes you to generate a Void Elemental Well on your next weapon kill after you use your class ability. This is great, since we need to run a Void subclass to use Invis anyway, and it's extremely easy to activate. Well of Utility causes you to gain additional class ability energy when picking up a Void Elemental Well. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this already. The first build I'm going to show you will abuse these mods to get infinite invis without even using exotics like 6th Coyote or Graviton Forfeit by only killing a single enemy. Here's what you'll need. Top Tree Night Stalker, a Stasis Cloak, 3 Void pieces of armor, 1 Solar piece of armor, Utility Kickstart, Reaping Wellmaker, Well of Utility, Bountiful Wells, and 100 Mobility. One mod that I haven't talked about yet is Utility Kickstart. This is an insanely good PvE Hunter mod that is stasis charged and is equipped on your class item. I mean, it's really good on any class, but it shines most brightly on Hunter in my opinion. This mod is great for any Hunter that likes to dodge, so it's basically good all the time. Stacking 2 of this mod gives you 25% of your class ability energy back instantly in PvE, just by activating your dodge. It could not be easier, and it essentially shaves 2 to 3 seconds off your already pretty quick 11-second dodge cooldown for doing literally nothing extra. You can even run 2 of them at the same time as Particle Deconstruction if you have the new Artifice armor from the Grasp of Avarice dungeon. Spoiler alert, but every build that I talk about will use 2 of this mod on your cloak to instantly gain back some dodge charge. The next thing we have to talk about is Bountiful Wells. This mod will increase the amount of wells generated by stacking 2 copies of any mod that creates wells. Here's the thing though, you don't actually need to stack other mods to create extra wells. The way mods stack with Bountiful Wells is strange and different depending on the mods, but equipping Bountiful Wells with one mod that creates wells, like Reaping Wellmaker for instance, will actually create 2 wells despite the description of Bountiful Wells making it seem like this would not be the case. Long explanation short, equip Bountiful Wells to generate 2 wells instead of 1. For the other 2 pieces of Void Armor, we'll be equipping 2 stacks of Well of Utility. Unlike most other mods in this game, Well of Utility actually doesn't have diminishing returns for stacking multiple. This is really unique, and it means that we can double the class ability energy gained from 1 Void Well by equipping 2 of these mods. For some reason though, in practice when picking up 2 wells in quick succession, the second one doesn't seem to benefit from the doubled effect. Maybe there's a hidden cooldown on the doubled effect or something. Elemental wells have been pretty buggy lately, and I'll talk more about that later, but it honestly doesn't even matter. If you've been watching the background gameplay, you can see that this is extremely easy to chain Invis even without the extra charge. So to recap, our full build is now 2 utility kickstarts, 1 Reaping Wellmaker, 1 Bountiful Wells, and 2 Well of Utilities. You can put whatever you want in the final slot in your cloak. Something like Elemental Armaments or Elemental Ordnance would be great for generating even more wells. One thing that I neglected to say earlier is that with Reaping Wellmaker, you can dodge far in advance of actually killing an enemy and still generate a well on your next weapon kill. You'll never lose the generate a well on your next kill effect until you die. So make sure you always proc this with your dodge before actually getting into a fight so that you'll be able to keep the chain going. You can see sped up footage of me dodging and then waiting around before finally getting a kill to prove that this works. The final thing you need to be careful of is dodging into a well that you've created. For some reason, the energy gained by Well of Utility will override the energy gained by Utility Kickstart if they're activated at the same time. This is almost certainly a bug, but it will still ruin your Invis chain if you're careless. Whew! That was a lot, huh? Maybe I got a bit carried away. Don't worry, for the next builds I'll only be making modifications to this build for different types of content. This, of course, includes the absolutely broken endgame build that I talked about at the beginning of the video. Don't worry, we'll get to it. I promise. For this next build, we'll be substituting one of the Well of Utilities for Well of Tenacity. In the cloak spot, which was previously vacant, we'll be slotting Elemental Time Dilation. Well of Tenacity grants you damage resistance when you pick up an elemental well. How much damage resistance, you ask? 10% for a measly 5 seconds. That's where Elemental Time Dilation comes in. It allows you to stack these time effects when picking up multiple wells. This is perfect since we're generating 2 wells with each weapon kill. This build sacrifices about 1 or 2 seconds of Invis, preventing an infinite chain, but the damage resistance will help you stay alive. I'm not gonna lie, the next and final build completely blows this one out of the water, but if you're missing certain essential mods for endgame builds, then this will definitely help you stay alive. Speaking of mods that are essential for the end of the game, there are very few builds viable for endgame without using one specific mod. What mod could be so all-powerful that it can make hunters borderline unkillable in PvE? What mod is so good that it's worth including in any build? Well, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, if you're not already acquainted, let me introduce you to Protective Light. Hey, so if you're a hardcore player and already know about Protective Light, then just skip to this timestamp for the build. Okay, so let me get this out of the way first. The only downside to this mod is how hard it is to get, since it's only sold rarely by 801 on random days throughout the year. However, once you finally get it, it's absolutely insane. This mod has been the hard carry for many teams in endgame content ever since it was released. You know that one friend that plays Destiny for like 8 hours a day and has carried more people than you can count through raids? This mod is like if that friend started getting paid $1,000 per raid carry and ascended to a level of existence where they didn't require sleep to live. And you know the builds that I've been talking about for who knows how long now? Yeah, if you thought they were good already, just wait until we add a Protective f***ing Light. Let me give you the download if you don't already know what Protective Light is or how it works. When your shield breaks, you get a flat damage resistance buff that lasts longer depending on how many stacks of charged with light you had before your shield broke. How much damage resistance, you ask? Oh dear viewer. I'm sure you're thinking that 10% from Well of Tenacity was pretty good, huh? But Protective Light has to be better for sure. At least 20 or maybe even 30%, right? Wrong! 50%! It gives you 50% damage resistance, and it's not just for a couple seconds. With 2 stacks of Charged with Light, which is the default max, you get 10 seconds of this insane God mode active, and it only takes 1 of your possible mod slots. Surely it must be difficult to activate though, right? Wrong again! With this build, you just slap on Elemental Charge and get Charged with Light for every time you pick up a well, which may I remind you that we're generating 2 of with every f***ing weapon kill if you're being efficient. Holy shit, this build is so broken! Hey, sorry about that. I got carried away. I just can't believe Protective Light is a real mod that we can use in the game. It's so broken, you guys, even by itself. And this build, oh, this build, it's so dumb. So let me recap and go over this build in depth from what you need to make it work to how to use it. Here's what you'll need. Top tree Night Stalker, a stasis cloak, 3 void pieces of armor, 1 solar piece of armor, protective light, elemental charge, reaping wellmaker, well of utility, bountiful wells, 2 stacks of utility kickstart, and 100 mobility. We've already been over Reaping Wellmaker, Well of Utility, Bountiful Wells, and Utility Kickstart, but I'll recap them real quick for anyone that just jumps straight here for the endgame build. Reaping Wellmaker generates a well on the next weapon kill after a dodge. Well of Utility grants bonus class ability energy when picking up a Void Elemental Well. Bountiful Wells causes Reaping Wellmaker to generate 2 wells per kill instead of 1. 2 stacks of Utility Kickstart gives you 25% of your dodge energy back immediately after using it. Here's the deal though, that build already gives you nearly infinite Invis with Top Tree Night Stalker. That's a pretty strong build. You know what makes it even stronger? I'll give you 3 guesses. Elemental Charge allows you to become charged with light every time you collect an elemental well, which may I remind you that we are generating 2 of on basically every weapon kill. What I'm saying is that you'll basically always be charged with light as long as you keep killing enemies and collecting wells. I think you see where I'm going with this. Protective light, baby! Guys, I don't think y'all understand how broken this build is in practice. Let me break it down for you. If your shield gets broken, you can dodge and go invis. You can then collect 2 wells that you previously generated, which will charge you with light again and give you a ton of class ability energy. So basically, by getting 1 kill and dodging, you can proc Protective Light, get charged with light for your next use of Protective Light, while your damage resist is still active, and nearly fully charge your dodge again by the time your invis runs out. I'm not done yet though. Oh no. It gets better. Now we get to exotics. Yes, I haven't even touched the effect of exotics on this build up until this point. There are a few obvious choices, such as 6 Coyote, which grants an extra dodge charge, or Graviton Forfeit, which increases invis duration. If you want to spec fully into the infinite invis side of things, then that can actually be quite easily accomplished with either of these paired with this build. My personal favorite to wear with this build, though, is something you might not expect. Wormhusk Crown. Wormhusk is a great exotic, that's no secret. Ignoring the build for a second, what self-respecting hunter wouldn't want to get a health and shield boost every 11 seconds when they dodge, especially if they're already running a survivability build? With the build though, it's a whole new ballgame. Remember how I said you could get charged with light by picking up wells while you still have the damage resistance buff from Protective Light? Well, if your health doesn't regenerate to give you at least some level of shield or white health, then Protective Light will never activate again. Remember, Protective Light procs off a shield break, not just low health. Well, not only is Wormhusk also good for keeping you alive, but it also brings you up to white health unless you are literally 1 HP. This means that no matter what, you'll be able to proc Protective Light from your shield breaking as long as you can kill 1 enemy. The best part is that you don't even need to think about proccing Protective Light. Its activation condition is picking up wells, which you're already doing when using this build. It could not be any easier. This is not to mention that if your teammates are running elemental well builds as well, you can pick up wells that they generate to become charged with light even more stupidly easy. The last problem you might have is that your wells are too far away, and maybe you don't want to run into a group of enemies, even though at this point you're basically God. We'll just have a teammate put in sinking wells so that makes wells they generate move towards every player on the fire team, and not just the person that has it equipped. Just look how good this is! So, closing remarks. You will not die with this build. The only way you die is if you neglect to collect your wells, or you're like 40 under light. This is so broken, you guys, and I haven't seen anyone talking about it. If someone has made a video with the same build in it, I promise I haven't seen it. Regardless, please give it a shot. I promise you won't be disappointed, even if you hate Hunter. Hey, so if you made it this far, you liked the video, didn't you? I mean, why else would you be here? Don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always unsub later. Although, I plan to do more videos like this in the future that you won't want to miss. Maybe even my Ultimate Witch Queen Prep Guide? I would greatly appreciate if you share this video with someone else, perhaps, since I put a lot of time into it. I also stream on Twitch, so come say hi. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.